All right, guys, and we're back with part three of Scourge of War Waterloo, episode 36, The Battle of Waterloo, as the Allies. And we are playing here as the Duke of Wellington. So, in our last video, the French started attacking at a couple of different points on the battlefield. They brought up another brigade to continue the attack on Hougoumont, and they also started their attack on Papelotte, uh, starting with Bru's brigade of de Ruyter's division. And then later on, D'Erlon's whole corps advanced forward, and at the same time, the other brigade, Pigot's brigade of de Ruyter's division, also began to assist in the attack on Papelotte. So once Pigot's brigade got involved, things started going south for us at Papelotte, and we countered the situation by deploying skirmishers to screen the fort, as well as on its flanks to help shoot back the forces that were attacking us, which was at that point the whole of de Ruyter's division. One of our units did rout out of the fort, but because we had it screened with skirmishers, we were able to just send some reinforcements in and reoccupy it. As D'Erlon's corps advanced forward, the French took La Haye Sainte very quickly and pretty easily, as was expected. That was part of the game plan from the very beginning, which we kind of knew was going to happen, just because we withdrew all of our forces behind this Mont Saint Jean ridge here to better protect our troops from the artillery fire of the massed battery on from the French side of the field. So by doing that, we were not able to protect La Haye Sainte very well, and the French captured it rather quickly. But in the process, D'Erlon's attack got spread out over a much wider area. It wasn't really focused on the part of the ridge that was historically attacked. They spread out kind of to the west of La Haye Sainte, and we had to contain some of Passage's division in that area. Donzelot and Marcogne's division pretty much advanced on the ridge, but didn't really make a serious attempt on it because of how strong the defenses were that we placed in rear of the ridge. And that attack was kind of diluted to about half the power that it was historically, because, as I said, Passage's division drifted westwards to the west side of La Haye Sainte, and de Ruyter's division was entirely engaged at Papelotte. So instead of an entire corps attacking the central part of the ridge here, really we only had to deal with Donzelot and Marcogne's division. So the attack didn't have the kind of punching power that the attack did historically, in terms of the, mostly the entire corps coming forward. So that's pretty much where we're at. It's now 2:30 in the afternoon. We have somewhere near 127,000 points, so we already have enough for a major victory, but we only have about a 27,000 point lead. So we're going to keep holding these objectives and keep racking up the points, and just be ready to deal with whatever Napoleon throws at us here. So let's get the video rolling here. So, all right, here we are, 2:30. You can see the forces that had drifted westwards, west of La Haye Sainte, are falling back. We had wheeled up some artillery and as well as some cavalry, and broke some of their lines, but they're coming back again. Now over here we have this whole area pretty much covered. They can't get too close, because if they do, we got a whole bunch of artillery right here. So they're trying to move out this way, where it's more of an infantry line we have defending. But they can only move out so far, because over here we have artillery. So it's just this one area they can kind of come in on. And when they come up to this point, they're going to be getting flanked by this artillery battery right here. So I'm just moving some cavalry up in support. If these units coming forward try to get too aggressive, I can always use the cavalry to force them into square and make them stop where they are. Beyond that, we have elements of Marcogne's division falling back on the right here, and we are still engaged with de Ruyter's division at Papelotte here. Bruce Brigade has caught a real beating and has mostly fallen back, and I think we're pretty much dealing with Pigot's Brigade at the moment. And I felt like this was kind of a tactical mistake on the French part. I think they should have sent Pigot's Brigade forward with the core attack on the ridge, and not bothered with Papelotte. Bruce Brigade was already too shot up to really make adding Pigot to the force really make much of a difference. Although, like I said, we did have to do some dancing around with skirmishers in order to secure Papelotte. But at this point, throwing Pigot's Brigade at Papelotte was kind of a waste, and I think they would have been better served to attack my extreme left flank, where I didn't have any artillery. It was certainly the weakest part of my line, with Marcogne's division, and they might have had a better chance of breaking through had they done that. Of course, I'm just speculating. I don't really know, but I wouldn't have added any more to the Papelotte attack. It just wasn't that critical a part of the battle. Pigot could have moved up past Papelotte, no problem. Bruce Brigade was still basically standing there screening the advance, so at least that part of it was, pretty much would have rendered the forces inside Papelotte, pretty mute. So at this point now, I'm taking some time to kick out some skirmishers to get them in front of my infantry, so that they're screening the lines and as I've talked about, putting skirmishers out in front of anything is kind of like putting up the shields. But these French are being bounced around like pinballs. They come forward, they get knocked back. They come forward, they get knocked back. They're not really having much luck in actually coming forward and really mounting any kind of offense before just the cannon and the line infantry shoots them back. So back to our old friend Hugomont here, and things have really quieted down over here now. You can see Soy's brigade has pretty much completely disengaged and pulled back from our right side, and we have what's left of Bowden's brigade out there on the left. Somewhere in the trees there is Gonthier's brigade, who are less shot up than the other two brigades, but are nonetheless not really. It looks like maybe they're coming forward a little bit. But yeah, on the whole, things at Hugomont have quieted down significantly. We're going on almost 3 hours of hard fighting in the Hugomont area, so human flesh and bone can only take so much of that before a pause is in order to catch your breath and reform your units and generally just pull yourself out of the chaos. So we've got our two batteries on our extreme right that are still firing away, and we do indeed seem to have some more units of Gonthier's brigade coming forward here. I see a couple of units forming up in the trees right here, as well as one over here that seems to have stopped. And Colonel McDonald is still going here. He's got almost 18,000 points just on his own. And we'll just keep down. There's kind of three hot spots on the line right now. Hugomont, this area here, right in front of La Haye-Sainte, as well as Papelotte. There's also troops on the extreme left, but it's not as much of a hot spot because Marcogne's division just seems to be sitting out there. With not much intent on actually trying to push forward and capture the ridge. So I've got two guns that have fallen off the line here, probably because they're out of ammo. So I'm seeing if I can bring them up and resupply them. Checking out how my gun batteries are doing. These guys are all doing pretty good. We seem to have a gun that has fallen off of this little battery. Well, there it is. It's coming. I don't know how it got over there. And these guns are again falling off the line. I don't know why they didn't resupply. The supply wagon is right there, but you can tell they did not resupply. So, okay, we'll just have the supply wagon go to them. I mean, they should have resupplied as soon as they got by the supply wagon, but for whatever reason they didn't. So kind of unit by unit here, the French are kind of coming out of La Haye Sainte, taking a crack at the Allied lines, and then falling back. And some of these units are just sitting out there now, and that's usually the sign of an attack stalling. And I wouldn't sit out there in column like that for too long, boys, because my cannon is just going to keep kind of blasting you away. Okay, so now this gun has resupplied. And they're making their way back to the line. And you can see a lot of the French units are staying on the opposite side of the ridge here. They're not really willing to come forward and actually test the defenses behind the ridge. I can't blame them. There's only a handful of units out there. Like I said, Darlan's attack pretty much got scattered. You can see they have a lot of troops committed at Papelotte here. You know, they're really fighting hard for this fort. And we've got a skirmisher unit in the hedgerows out there in front of the fort, which is doing a really good job of actually screening the forces inside. And these guys here are protecting the right flank of it, but it's not currently engaged. So our battery commander, who has the Allied left objective, has racked up about 33,000 points. And these objectives can really, really rack up a lot of points for you, so long as you make a point of actually holding them. In fact, the majority of our points are coming from the objectives, not through combat. Generally speaking, the casualties that the points you might get through combat alone are normally nowhere near what you would need to achieve a major victory. You're not going to get 100,000 points through combat. So the objectives are really what are the big point yielders. So it looks like Bowden's brigade, or whoever is commanding Bowden's brigade now, has sufficiently rallied his men enough to take another crack at Hougoumont. And they are advancing towards the wall. Now again, this wall has just a massive defense bonus, so line units out in the open like that, trying to tangle in a firefight with skirmisher units on that wall, is just never going to work out for them. And these French have really left a lot of dead bodies in front of La Haye Sainte here. You know, as long as they're going to try and come up here and shoot it out with us when we have skirmishers pretty much in front of the whole line, it's going to be tough for them to get the better of it, because as I've covered many times, skirmishers generally do a lot better against line units in a firefight. The drawback of skirmishers is that you could just charge them and get them out of there. But these units have been battered, so I'm sure they're tired. Their fatigue has probably fallen below the point where they can charge. So all they can really do is come up and try and shoot it out with us. So this gun again has refused to resupply. We have 5 of them back up there now, so this is our final one. So we'll send the supply wagon to the gun to resupply them and bring the whole battery back up. And where the hell have all these guns go? This was a 4-gun battery. Oh, looks like they moved over here. Well, I do have all the guns under AI control, so they move around and find better places to shoot. Presumably, whatever target they were shooting at over here probably either routed or got destroyed, and so they're moving around to find other targets. What do we got out here? Looks like we have some French cavalry moving forward here. I see 3 squadrons. I see 2 squadrons over here in front of the Hougoumont area. So it looks like the French are beginning to mass some cavalry in their center here. We'll have to keep an eye on that. It's a little early for that. I usually don't expect to start seeing that till around another hour or so, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, somewhere in there. So for them to be moving their cavalry forward now, it's certainly sooner than I expected. I'm not set up to meet that right now. So let's hope the French are a little tardy in how fast they mobilize their cavalry here and give me a chance to pull my guns back and set some squares up. So we're beginning to do that right now. Move the guns back, we'll put these units in square, move this battery back, and start to reconfigure some of this to meet cavalry. Because right now we're not really set up for that, because it's only about 2:45. It's only been about 15 minutes since we started, so it's a little early for me to be expecting the French cavalry. As I said, I usually don't expect to see that for another hour or so. Nevertheless, here they come. So we have to get our guns to a safe spot. We have to pull them back and set up infantry squares. Luckily, it looks like they're moving their cavalry more towards Hougoumont. Now, the thing about cavalry at Hougoumont is they can, of course, charge our skirmishers off the wall. And if they charge our skirmishers off the wall and we no longer have them screening the fort, then the infantry can come forward and start shooting at the fort and probably do pretty good. So we're going to have to see what the French cavalry has in store for us here. So it doesn't look like the French cavalry is really advancing. It looks like they're just massing. It really looks like they're just advancing the cavalry at this point and not really sending them forward piecemeal, as opposed to, it looks like they're actually massing their formations back here in preparation to move them forward. At the same time, the infantry has stepped up its attack at Hougoumont. While Soy's brigade is still hanging out back there, Gauthier's brigade is kind of who we're tangling with right now, and the remnants of Bowden's brigade have also started to come forward again, and we're duking it out with them on the wall. And you can see as more and more cavalry comes into view back there, the French are definitely massing their cavalry. So the infantry in front here is already beginning to back off. That was definitely going to happen, tangling with those skirmishers on the wall. I could see more cavalry coming down the road. So as fun as it is bombing away on these French troops with our guns here, The prudent call here at this point with that French cavalry massing out there is to pull the guns back. Because artillery out in front like that is just such an easy target for cavalry. They move fast, they'll come forward and just run right through those guns. So what we need to do is bring them back behind the infantry, behind the ridge, so we can put squares in front of the guns so that the cavalry can't get at the guns. Everything still looks status quo over here. All right, so it looks like Pigot's brigade has mostly pulled back at this point. Yeah, all our skirmish units are resting, so we're not currently engaged anymore at Papelotte. They've pulled back. Marcogne's division is continuing to be repulsed on our extreme left. So, wow, a lot of cavalry massing in the center there. The one good thing I'll say is that where they're massing is kind of nowhere near where their infantry is. So when they come forward, they're pretty much going to be coming forward with cavalry alone. And look at this unit here, making a beeline for the wall. And this is kind of what I was worried about happening, is that they're going to charge these skirmishers off the wall, and we won't have skirmishers screening the fort anymore, which is a big reason of why we're doing so well at Hougoumont. Now this is really unusual. What the heck is going on here? You charge with cavalry, boys, not artillery. So they're kind of blitzing forward with their guns here, while their cavalry is staying behind. That's not a good idea, because when I see guns out in front like that, you know, they're just there for the taking. So I'm going to grab this cavalry squadron and see if we can round up these guns. Really, that was a mistake, sending them forward like that. So their artillery is just blitzing forward, and this is just crazy that they're doing this with their guns. Now the guns are going to have to turn around because they're coming into contact with infantry and artillery, but you know, I've got a cavalry squadron bearing down on them, and none of their cavalry is moving to intercept it. So it's looking to me like the French are just going to give me a large portion of their artillery here. And that was definitely a mistake. Well, no, I didn't want to do that. I want to move this unit out here. So in the meantime, while this cavalry is bearing down on the guns, we're moving our infantry forward to form square to protect our guns. All right, so they're just milling about out here now, and we're going to see how many of these we can get. All right, so let the charge begin here. So the guns are starting to pull back. We're still in pretty good shape as far as fatigue goes, and we'll just keep running these guns down. At the same time, I have to start. Here comes this cavalry. Wow, they're coming. All right, so we got to form square, and hopefully that square can hold off the cavalry. We'll pull the guns back, get them out of there. Now they've got infantry and cavalry coming forward here. Now, luckily the square has stopped the cavalry. That can give us the time to get the guns out of here. And we'll see if we can bring another square out here. And we have our other square forming. This is kind of a hasty defense I'm forming here because, as I said, look at these guns just sitting out here. And my squadron is just gobbling them up. So yeah, okay, some of our skirmishers are being run off now by the square. Now, if the infantry comes forward, what we're going to look to do here is use our cavalry to force them into square, so that at least we're shooting on equal terms, our square versus their square. Because the idea behind what the French are doing here is using their cavalry to force me into square, so that their line infantry can shoot at me and tear my square up, because they're able to shoot at my square with a lot more muskets than I'm able to return fire with. So by bringing our cavalry forward, the idea is we can do the same thing to them, force them into square, and make it so that they can't really get the better of our squares with line infantry. And there's still some guns sitting out here that I'm kind of confident we can get. Alright, so we've got this unit formed into square now. This unit here is being stubborn and wants to stay in line. And we got another square coming out right here. So, yeah, they ran off my skirmishers that were in front of the square. That's not a big deal. That happens. We can always try and bring them back up later, or recall them, or figure out what we're going to do. Skirmishers get run off all the time. That's not really a big issue. So I'm a little close to this cavalry here as I'm trying to take these guns. So I want to take them, but not continue the charge afterwards. So let's see if we can get these 3 guns and then get these guys out of here before all these guys react. And the French are just coming forward with a lot of cavalry here. All right, we've got all the guns. Let's get these guys out of here. We've got some squares set up on the ridge here. And it was really good that we took these guns so that the guns couldn't set up and fire on our squares. So, alright, we've got some cavalry out front here. If this unit refuses to form square, we're going to charge them then. And their cavalry is all kind of bottled up on this side of things, so if we charge this unit, I don't think their cavalry is going to be able to do anything about it. So, alright, here we go. We're aiming for this unit right here on the left. Their cavalry is penned up by my square. Let's see if we can run these guys off. Alright, here goes the charge. And alright, they're breaking and running. Good. Bring this, so we can bring this cavalry back. Now all that's facing us is a square, and that's a more even set of affairs. And oh boy, you can see that, yes, one of our skirmish units has in fact been run off the wall here by the cavalry. However, this wall isn't really the important, this part of the wall isn't the important part. This part is, and they've run them off too. So now our units in the fort are no longer being screened and are being fired on directly by the infantry. So let's recall these skirmisher units that got run off. We've kicked off some new ones, and let's see if we can get them back on the wall. Now this cavalry is just sitting out there like a bunch of sentinels, so I have a feeling that even if I put these guys back on the wall, the cavalry is just going to charge them off again. And you can already see them moving forward. However, I can keep kicking off skirmishers ad nauseum, but sooner or later that cavalry is going to get too tired to charge, so it's a game of waiting. And oh, we got a little cavalry melee going on right here. And my boys have already captured a whole bunch of guns, so I have a feeling that they're not going to get the better of it, and they are indeed running off. Because they're probably not in as fresh a shape as the French squadron there is. So run, boys, run. Get back behind your lines. And just because of the way the French cavalry came forward here, this one square is actually penning up all this cavalry here. It would be better if they could actually move around behind the lines and kind of make more inroads over here. Being penned up out here is not helping them. So look at these maniacs. Looks like they countercharged these guys and ran them off. So, okay, we've got men back on the wall here. Good. And another skirmisher unit that we can put in here. Get them back on the wall. Because this is the wall we really need to have manned. Because that's the one that's screening the fort. Our two skirmisher units out here are still doing good. But they're out of ammo. Time to pull them back and get some new skirmishers in out there. And good time to do so because some of Gaunther's infantry is falling back. Alright, now we've got line units shooting at our leftmost square here. This is the situation we don't want. We don't want to be trading fire squares versus lines, because the lines will get the better of it every time. So what we're going to do here is, since the cavalry's all penned up out here, we could probably safely move our skirmishers out front here to screen the square. At the same time, let's send this cavalry forward. We're either going to force these guys into the square or run them off. Either one is a win-win for us. So, oh boy, this cavalry squadron keeps getting into melees, and they keep doing okay, but we really need to get them back. They're too brave for their own good. So, okay, these guys have formed square, but now we've got skirmishers screening our square, so we're going to pick them up. And yeah, I want to charge these guys, but I really can't, because every time I hit the charge button, because the squares are closer, I charge them instead of the lines. So, okay, these guys get to stay in line. And that's just a benefit of being behind squares. Oh, you maniacs, get back behind your lines. Jesus, you're too brave for your own good. So I'm going to try and bring up the artillery here and see if we can start shooting at some of this cavalry. They're turning back now that they've come in contact with the infantry squares. So all right, we've got all our men back on the wall, and the cavalry is still sitting out here. But now at least we're fighting this infantry with our men back on the wall here, and more infantry coming forward. So we're going to pull our skirmishers that are out of ammo back. Alright, so now some of their cavalry looks like it's trying to move off to the east here towards La Haye Sainte. And I think this is a better move for them in terms of not getting penned up back here by this one square. I realize this is a little messy and certainly not as neat as some of the defensive formations that I normally set up, but keep in mind I was kind of caught off guard here. I did not expect the French to launch their cavalry so soon. I wasn't expecting to see this until, you know, another half hour or so, and you can see more and more French cavalry just coming forward here. So I'm kind of trying to create this defense on the fly here in terms of protecting my guns and getting the squares out front to deal with the cavalry. So I'll fine-tune this as I can, as time permits here when I have the chance. All right, so we've got all these skirmishers set up now that are screening our forces and shooting at the. You can see we've really shot out some of these squares here, and I'm also bringing some more cavalry forward in case I need it. These guys we can probably just recall or bring them up. All right, so this infantry square has fallen back, but the cavalry is coming forward. And they're probably just going to run off my skirmishers. So they've gotten another battery set up in the center here, and it looks like more cavalry is coming forward. So here they come, charging my skirmishers. And they're running, but they're going to run headlong into a square here and not get the better of that. So, okay, no problem. Like I said, that's going to happen. Our squares are not tangling with line units right now, so it doesn't matter that they're not screened. This unit was obviously under AI control, and that's why it formed square. But we've still got most of this French cavalry penned up out here. Let's see what's going on at Hougoumont. And we're still on the wall. That's what I'm checking on every time I look at Hougoumont. I want to make sure my skirmishers are still on the wall and that the French cavalry is not running them off. So they've got a lot of cavalry massed out here now, but they're not really sending it forward. So we've got these two infantry units trapped in square, and our square is shooting it out with them. We've got more cavalry coming up just in case we need it. And we have one skirmisher unit here that's shooting it out with these squares. These squares aren't screened, but it doesn't matter because the units in front of them are in square too. They're not in line. The screening of the squares with skirmishers, that's only an issue if it's line infantry shooting at them. And if I can't keep skirmishers out there, like I said, I have other ways of dealing with that. I can bring cavalry forward to force them into square as well. So at least, you know, my engagement with them is sort of even Stevens. So here come these skirmishers. They're going to get run off. We're going to recall them and actually countercharge with our squadron. And they're running off real quick. So, okay, they're turning and running. This unit is not engaged with us, so we don't care that they're in line. This square, look at it. We've really shot out the whole front of it and part of the right side of it. So this square is really catching hell. And looks like we're going to go and take a crack at running this unit off. They are now forming square. And maybe we can charge the cavalry here. Oh, they're retreating. Pansies. So no real engagement there. And we still got all this cavalry penned out over here. Just totally penned up in here. Being held in place basically by this one square. And they're just sitting there. And because my square has so many more men, we're getting the best of it. Oh, finally we have a cavalry melee going on. Good. And our boys run them off. Nice. Oh, they surrendered. So the one cavalry squadron that they were able to get over to this side of the field has now surrendered. So that's good. We can bring our skirmishers back up and get this whole skirmisher line going again. So they've massed all their cavalry back here, but not really doing too much with it. I see another squadron out here. And it looks like things at Papilot have basically completely quieted down. Bruce and Pagot's brigade have basically disengaged, so for the time being, we don't really have to watch that. So we have our fresh skirmisher units here that are out there engaging and still doing a stellar job. You boys that are out of ammo will recall you. And we're kicking out another skirmisher unit, probably support the right. And, oh, Soy's brigade has broken en masse and are heading for the rear. Alright, so we have a column coming forward here. And they're getting awful close. Really close. Like, are they going to charge close? And I'm thinking we're about to give up this position. Here they come. So, yes, run, boys, run. Maniacs. Alright, so they've run our skirmishers off so they can once again begin bringing fire against two sides of Hougoumont. But skirmishers are ultra pesky. I'll just kick out some more and have them start firing at their flank again. So what's left of this square has broken completely, and another unit is coming forward. However, we got cavalry right here. They will have to form square. And it looks like I'm not waiting for them to come. I'm just going to go right after them. However, without this cavalry can now kind of move through here. Alright, so they're forming line. And I think they're going to get run off. And there they go. And we're just cutting into them here. And as long as their cavalry on the right there doesn't move, I'm just going to keep running these guys down and pursuing them. So they are withdrawing now. Some of their cavalry looks like it's moving. So I don't want to run too far towards the French lines here and get my unit cut off. Yeah, I would start withdrawing. I'm so greedy for points. My goodness. And that square did great. All right, guys, come on. 82 points is enough. Get back here. So we've really run off all their infantry now back towards La Haye Sainte. All that's out there is their cavalry now. And I'm going to see if I can bring another square up in here so we can really start targeting this cavalry. Also, there's just a big gap between this square and the next one over. I have it filled with cavalry right now, but I'd rather get a square out there between, you know, this square and this square. And I'm going to get these guys back before the French cavalry has a chance to come after us. So, alright, things got a lot simpler. Now that the infantry is basically pulled back, we don't need to worry about skirmishers. Our squares are more than enough to just keep shooting at these guys. And if you guys are going to keep coming forward, I got a fresh squadron right here for you. And we're going to see if we can just charge them. And we got two of our squadrons tangling with the French cavalry now. I don't think the French are going to come out of this one. I smell a surrender coming, I really do. There it is. You overreached, boys, you overreached. You should have been happy with just the fact that my cavalry was pulling back and lived with that. Now you got yourself surrendered. These guys are quite properly retreating as they're winded. But we still got one squadron that's in good shape up here. We can always bring up more. We got plenty of cavalry back here. So, all right. I guess we successfully shot out whatever the unit was that had broken in here. So let's reorganize this line. Whatever fresh skirmisher units we have, we'll bring forward. And Soy's brigade has almost completely disappeared. I guess they're... Oh, here we go. Now, there's nothing I can really do about this, you know. Cavalry charges. Cavalry charges. Off we go. So we might as well form this unit into square now, because the bulk of the French forces over here are now cavalry. And they've once again cleared us off the wall, but it doesn't really matter at this point in time because there's nothing in front of that area of the wall shooting at us anyway. So the wall doesn't really need to be manned right this moment. And I think I want to bring one of these battalions over, and I'm just looking for the best troop quality. And unfortunately, those troops are not the greatest quality. And I just want to put a square in front here just to guard this artillery, because some of this French cavalry is only a hop, skip, and a jump away from being able to run in my lines here. So a square out here would be pretty good. And we'll just put some more skirmishers on the wall. And I'm just making the cavalry use up their charges. You know, I can continue to recall and kick out skirmishers ad nauseum, but they can only charge for so long before they're fatigued and had enough. So it looks like now they're going for this this skirmisher group on the wall. And we still have all this French cavalry just sitting out here. Not doing much of anything. And looks like this unit has stopped. And let's see what happens when we put these boys back on the wall. If they start shooting, will these guys pull back or will they charge them? And they're pulling back. Okay, so we once again have this part of the wall established. Drop some horses. And, you know, little by little, we're just getting them to waste their charges, and eventually it will get to the point where they won't be charging the wall anymore. In the meantime, it might be a good idea to just move this square up into this area behind the wall, just so I have them close by, so that the cavalry can only charge the skirmishers off the wall and really can't do anything past that. The secondary attack on Hougoumont from Gaunther's brigade appears to be breaking up, so that's going to make it a lot less of an issue of having skirmishers on the wall to begin with. If there's no infantry out there to shoot at us, then it doesn't really matter if there's skirmishers on the wall or not. So here comes the cavalry again. Let's see if they're going to charge our boys. And it looks like they're going for it. So we'll just recall them. That will make our unit stop, to call the skirmishers, but we'll just move them. We'll move them forward, and you know, we'll have a square in here that can shoot this cavalry out. And like I said, there's no more. It doesn't appear to be any infantry out here anymore. Looks like we've gotten rid of it all. Looks like Gonthier's brigade has collapsed, as well as Soy's brigade. So just putting a square in that courtyard should be enough to hold off the cavalry. So the only thing I'm worried about with this square now is they've been engaged with shooting at this cavalry for quite some time. So they're starting to get a little tired. They still have plenty of ammo, but they're starting to get fatigued. So that's kind of the reason I want to get another square out here to shore up, to basically be an in-between between these two squares, as well as I'd like to get a second square to replace this square, because they're tired now. They're decent troop quality, though. They're 6. They should still be able to hang in there for quite a while. And yeah, these are obviously British troops. So they're just hanging out there, picking off this cavalry. The French have a lot more cavalry massed out here, but they don't appear to have any plans to do anything with it. They're still hoping this cavalry in here can do something against Hugomont, but they really can't. The whole premise of sending the cavalry forward here to run these men off the wall, well, that was kind of conditioned upon the infantry actually being here to shoot at them, and it really doesn't look like there's much engaging the fort itself at this point. It looks like all the troops have pulled back into the woods. So looks like this unit is making a run. This squadron is making a run at this unit now, and may well run them off. Nope, they're pulling back. Alright, so we're intercepting courier messages now. And we're just going to recall these skirmishes for the time being because the cavalry is still trying to charge. But now we have a square here to shoot at them. So I do see another infantry battalion moving in, but it's on this side of the fort, and we still have our men on the wall here, as well as our 2 skirmisher units on the flank. So we got a square up here that's going to hold this cavalry at bay, hopefully. I should probably move them a little further forward and closer to these units on the wall here. Alright, so again we have a line unit trying to shoot at us with squares. And I'm sure they're pretty shaky, so I think the thing to do is just take this cavalry squadron and chase them off so that they can't inflict any damage on our squares. Alright, so now we've got a nice row of squares out here that this cavalry is not going to be able to get by. And right about now, boys, you should probably be heading back to La Haye Sainte. There you go. That's the ticket. Let's see what other units we can run off here. There's certainly no French cavalry around here, so maybe we can get a bunch of these guys, you know, whatever we can run off. And these guys are likewise running off. And I think that's good enough. And I think we'll probably keep the squadron on this side of things just in case we need to do that again. We could always bring up another squadron from back here to replace them. Alright, so nice wall of squares here. The cavalry is not going to get by this now. My guns have become a little bit scattered, but we can move them around now. Maybe we can put them in here somewhere. So as this cavalry comes forward, the squares will shoot them up. This battery's a little concerning because they're close enough that over time they're probably going to inflict some damage on my squares. All right, so it looks like now some of this French cavalry is getting ready to do something. That rightmost brigade. All right, so now I have this square up here, and that's going to kind of stop this cavalry from kind of charging past them. And looks like I'm trying to put men back on the wall again, but you know, no, not the unit. Want to put the skirmishers on the wall. And the one thing I'll say about this is I don't think this is necessary anymore. You're just giving the cavalry something to charge, and I don't think it's critical to have this part of the wall manned anymore because there's no infantry out here to shoot at it. So I have a feeling these skirmishers are just going to get run off again. Nope, turning around. Having the square up here probably helps. So, alright, we've got this part of the wall manned again as well. And that square up there will probably give that cavalry pause. So again, we have some more infantry coming forward. And these guys are really starting to get tired. They haven't lost a lot of men. They've only lost 60 men. They're still in good shape as far as that goes. But they have been firing at this cavalry for quite a while now. And I do think we should get another square out there that's a little fresher. But before we do that, let's see if we can clear off some of this infantry. And our squares are just picking away at whatever cavalry comes into range. And yeah, this is unacceptable. We will not have any lines shooting at our square, so let's take our cavalry squadron, which is still in very good shape, and we'll just run them off. And we still got our squares holding all these boys at bay. And by redeploying, we've kind of rebalanced our square as well. So yes, run boys, back to the farmhouse. These guys are all pulling back. That's all I'm interested in doing. I'm not trying to run them off the field or anything. I just want them to... I don't want line units shooting at my squares. That's basically all that's about. Yeah, we have a few guns that have fallen off the line here. They probably need to be resupplied. So again, we'll try and just shift the supply wagon over to them. A couple of guns here have fallen off the line. That's just because I've been dealing with the French cavalry and not really paying attention to the artillery. But now that we have the cavalry properly penned up and most of the infantry having been driven back to La Haye Sainte, we can start to take time to resupply the guns. So, all right, we're at 163,929 points. We've inflicted 10,977 casualties. We've taken about 2,500 casualties, so we're doing excellent. We're definitely decently ahead of what we need for a major victory at this point, so we just have to continue acquiring points and protect our lead. Oh, I see we have some skirmishers back here. Did we get run off the wall again? Oh no, that's probably one of the earlier ones that fell off the wall. And I just never recalled them. So we're tangling with one battalion here. I can't imagine they're going to hang in there for long, dealing with skirmisher units and one of them being on a wall. So it looks like the cavalry is beginning to pull back little by little. And so it looks like a cessation of hostilities is breaking out here, as some of the French cavalry is beginning to pull back, and their attack really didn't amount to much. Just checking some casualties, because these guys are definitely in range of the Grand Battery, so just want to make sure they're not taking too heavy losses. So again, we have some units moving out from La Haye Sainte. There's no reason for you to be in square. There's no cavalry around. So it looks like I got to give the French credit for determination. They keep getting run back, and they keep coming back. And we've got some more cavalry probably looking to run our skirmishers off the wall, and they get turned around. See, this is what I was talking about, is eventually they just can't do it anymore. So if you let them run your skirmishers off the wall, you know, a bunch of times, and just keep putting them back up there, eventually you get to the point where, well, the cavalry can't really charge anymore. They're too tired. So they come forward, but they can't charge anymore. And we could probably get away with just one skirmisher unit out here now, because there's really not much of a threat out here with the collapse of Soy's brigade. So we just really need to put one skirmisher unit on the flank. And all right, I'm going to run to the fridge real quick and grab a drink. I'll be right back, fellas. All right, I am back. So we again have a line unit trying to shoot at our squares, and that is not a situation I will tolerate. So again, we're going to send our cavalry forward to just run them off. I don't mind if you guys want to come forward and sit out there, but the moment you form line and start shooting at my squares, you're going to have to deal with the horse. So they're already backing up. Run, fellas. Now's not the time to be brave. Not when you have cavalry bearing down on you. Oh, you dummies. You're gonna stand there and take it. Alright. So they're getting pursued. Of course, there is a French squadron right there. I don't know how far forward ooh, we killed the leader. Nice. Alright. So we'll pull them back. They did nice. This unit's forming square, but as soon as my cavalry pulls out of range, they'll be able to go back into column or line or whatever it is they want to do. And we'll just bring them back again, let them rest up, and we can do that all day. All right, so it's 3:30 now. And normally this is about when I start looking for the French cavalry charge. So they really pulled it off about an hour earlier, or 45 minutes earlier than I was expecting it to, which is why my defense is so hastily constructed here, because they just came forward a lot earlier than I was expecting them to. Nevertheless, we managed to get a lot of squares out front and control what infantry they had, and now they're basically just left out there with cavalry. And we'll be able to just kind of picket them with our squares. So, all right, it looks like all the infantry has been driven off from Hougoumont. And I really have to get around to starting to resupply my guns and get them back in order. They're kind of all over the place right now, and a lot of guns have also fallen off the line. So the one thing about all the French infantry being gone, though, is now the cavalry has a more open approach into this part of my line. So I think I want to get yet another square out here just to contain their cavalry even further. Now this is a King's German Legion battalion. They're level 7 veterans, so they're good troops. And as I talked about at the beginning of part 1, that's something that with this army in particular, you have to pay a lot more attention to, because the troop quality in this army is just widely varying. You know, from 3 militia to 7 veteran, and there's a big difference between militia and veteran troops. So I try to keep the militia troops kind of behind the lines, you know, and you know, not use them and just, you know, have them sleep through the whole battle. While I try to use only the you know, basically level 5 or higher. Level 3 troops, level 4 troops, they're kind of shaky. You can't really count on them. Alrighty, so it's starting to neaten up. Looks like I want to bring my artillery forward a little bit. They're probably too far behind the ridge to really get some good shots. Now these are the foot guard units. These are extremely good troops, so I don't really have any worries about them breaking and running. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my frontline troops with basically made up of British troops and these King's German Legion troops. You know, basically level 5 or higher. So they're again trying to make a push at my my kind of right center here, but you know, they can only get so close before that starts happening, and that is the ultimate get the hell out of here right there. Don't you dare come into canister range. And we're actually going to bring the guns even further forward here so we can really start just covering this area nicely. We got to do something about this square too. They're getting fired on by 2 line units. Maybe we can take these skirmishers and just reposition them and put them out front. Again, with the pathing issues, I think we should take these skirmishers and move them out front. And maybe move these guys over here. Yeah, there we go. Let's put this skirmisher unit in here. And You know, don't let all this French infantry out here fool you. These troops are not in good shape. These are the same troops that we've been running off. They go back, they regroup for a bit, and then they come forward. But they'll run off at the slightest thing if I decide to pressure them. Yeah, okay, that's why these guns aren't unlimbering. They're still too far behind the ridge. See, there they go. As soon as I can put skirmishers out there, start dropping these guys, they'll break and run very quickly. Yeah, and then we'll take this unit and bring them around here. And you know, none of these boys are in good shape. These are the same troops we've been fighting for the past hour, and they fall back, they come forward, they fall back, they come forward. And we could put these guys in line because the French cavalry doesn't seem to be wanting to do anything. So there's no reason at all to keep these guys in square right now. I really have to get these guys out of here. They are exhausted. I mean, they're holding in there. They're level 6 troops. They're not crap. They're good troops. Definitely solid troops. But I mean, sooner or later, you know, they're gonna break and run just because they're exhausted. So we're gonna bring up a fresh square again. These are level 6 troops. This is the Hanover Brigade. So more British troops. And let's use our supply wagons and try and start resupplying some of these guns. Looks like we've gotten most of them back on the line. So this square's done excellent. They've only lost 62 men. They've inflicted 161 casualties. They're doing just fine. I'm a little worried about the 2 guard squares out there because this battery out in the center is probably hitting them. And I may need to pull that part of the line back just to avoid them taking unnecessary artillery casualties. Yeah, these 2 right here, I'm a little worried about. I see men down there. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Yeah, so it looks like the attack on Hougoumont has basically completely stalled at this point. And it looks like we're intercepting messages. It looks like Marc Cognet's division is being placed on tactical reserve. So what that basically tells me is that D'Erlon's attack at this point has pretty much been called off. I clicked on the wrong unit there, and I moved a unit off the wall. I'm sure we'll just go back and correct that. Oh no, I was still clicked on this unit, so no big deal. I don't think they need to be out there anymore. Yeah, I probably have to move them back here. We can probably recall them. I don't think I think that's it for the right side of Hougoumont. With the collapse of Soy's brigade, I don't think they have any more troops over there. And as you can see, much of D'Erlon's forces have been pulled away from the ridge. So the idea here is that we're going to swap these units out. We're going to have these guys form square kind of right where these guys are, and then withdraw these guys. However, there is a French squadron coming forward, and that could make this transfer here a little hairy. Because these units are going to walk through each other and slow them down. Yeah, and exactly, here they come. So we're going to halt this unit and have them form square immediately. And see if these guys can pass through them without being charged. So it looks like they're inside the square now. Let's see if we can countercharge with our squadron. And we're hitting them. So they're meleeing the square at the same time they're being charged by our cavalry. So, and these guys look like they're escaping pretty much unharmed. They moved through the square. They're okay. And we're running the squadron off. Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. So they made it through the square. We'll pull them back. This square has taken over. And our cavalry squadron is continuing to ransack these French squadrons out here. However, there's a lot more cavalry out here. And maybe the best thing for you guys to do is pull back. And that's what they're doing. We will reorient our square here. And, okay, we got a fresh unit now. Our exhausted unit is being pulled back behind the lines. They'll recover their fatigue. They're a good unit. We'll be able to use them again if we need them. So a cavalry unit is trying to move in, but we got more cavalry back here. We'll just countercharge them as they come up. This is why I brought all this cavalry up here. And yeah, both of my squadrons are meleeing this unit now. So this may be another case where this French squadron is not going to escape. So we appear to be locked in mortal combat here with these guys. Let's turn this unit to face them. We can maybe shoot at the French as we're doing that. And there they go. They're withdrawing. They are running off. And yeah, we don't need to pursue them. Let them run. And meanwhile, we're containing the various advances from La Haye Sainte over here. And we've really got the French cavalry kind of separated from their infantry, so they're not really able to effectively combine their forces on us. Oh, we've been run off the wall again. And we again have some more infantry coming forward. One lone battalion. So, all right, we were going to recall these guys, but let's send them forward again and see if we can run this unit off. They're still in good shape. They got 29 rounds of ammo. They're fine. And when these guys retreat, we'll just recall them. Our square is here shooting the cavalry out of here. Like I said, I don't really think we need to man this part of the wall anymore. Just having the square there should be enough to hold the cavalry at bay. And our skirmishers are doing fine. They've taken 4 casualties. They've inflicted about 43. We can advance this skirmisher line too. And really keep these guys penned up by La Haye Sainte. You know, it's funny. The whole point at the beginning was to pull our troops back behind the ridge. And you know, here we are up on the ridge again. You know, however, like I said, this part of the line is not really under, a super artillery threat. So you can see some of the French cavalry out here are routing. So little by little, we're breaking up this assault. We're kind of just picking the cavalry apart that's out here, and with the idea that sooner or later they're all kind of break and run. They keep coming forward and pulling back as they encounter the squares. Got some units breaking and running. So little by little, the French attack is falling apart here now. They're not quite so willing to come forward and engage anymore. We've got our guns up on the ridge now, so anything that comes really close is going to be in trouble. And here's our exhausted square. They're just sitting back here recouping, and they're already starting to regain some of their fatigue. All of our guns have unlimbered now that we've moved them a little further forward. Now here is what I'm concerned about. My squares are losing men from this it's absolutely from this French battery out here. They've lost 39 men on the right square and 80-something men on the other square. So since there's still cavalry out there, I have to leave these units in square, but we're going to see if we can pull them back behind the ridge and reduce this so the artillery battery out here cannot see them. And at the same time, we'll kind of move it this way a little bit. So, all right, we're pulling the guns back. We're going to pull the squares back and see if we can get them behind the ridge so these guns cannot... 93 men they've taken out of this square. Now, these are big units. 100 men is nothing, but I don't want to let that continue. So, yes, now we don't have men on the wall, but we have the square here. So that should stop these units from kind of getting to this unit on this wall. And these guys are doing great. They've only got hit 5 times. They've inflicted like 200 casualties. That's the power of that wall. So okay, we're bringing our formation back here behind the ridge, where hopefully we will protect these guard units from taking any more artillery losses. These guys have started to take a little bit of it too. They've taken 7 losses. So, I'm trying to shift them over. I don't want to pull them back because there's still cavalry here that they could just come through and get my guns. But we'll see if we can move them further away from the battery. So, yeah, see, this cavalry keeps getting turned around now. They keep trying to come forward, but I have a feeling they're too tired at this point to charge. And these guys are still whooping on these guys along with the skirmishers on the wall. I gotta believe that they're gonna break and run soon. It looks like they're getting ready to, and I'm advancing these skirmishers to kind of finish them off. And it looks like I'm again going to put these guys on the wall. I truly don't think that's necessary anymore, but apparently I'm obsessed with having troops on that wall. We got a bunch of gun batteries back here that are all kind of deployed funny and probably need to be reset up here. And we'll just shift this square over to kind of cover this gap in here a little bit, as well as open up the field of fire for the guns. And we'll have to still keep monitoring these two squares here and see if they're behind the ridge enough so that they're not really getting bombed on by those guns anymore. All right, so it looks like the French attack has pretty much petered out here. There's not much going on left at Hougoumont. Papelotte is still quiet, and we have the French bottled up nicely in front of La Haye-Sainte. Most of their cavalry has been repulsed. Next thing to do is probably get this battery in order. Not sure what I'm doing here. Oh, I kind of have an idea. All right, so I'm backing this square up, and I'm probably going to put the artillery between these two squares right here. Yep, that is what I'm doing. That's a good place for gun batteries. Put them right on the road here on top of the ridge. So we again are dealing with some troops from La Haye-Sainte, but I got a nice skirmisher line out there. I got guns, I got a line infantry. We're in good shape. However, I should get one skirmisher unit out here just to screen the cavalry unit. I don't know if that's what I'm doing with this. Yep, that's what I'm doing. And I'm freely deploying skirmisher units because I know those units that I'm tangling with near La Haye-Sainte are the same troops I've just been shooting back the whole time. So, you know, they ain't going to charge. And we're going to put these guys back on the wall here. There they go. And we have indeed run off this last battalion. And I don't really see any infantry in the woods. We may have run everybody off. Our guns are still continuing to fire away here. Oh, I see one battalion hanging out back there. So our troops on the wall are firing at this squadron here, so they will probably turn around. This is probably just standard gun screening here. Yep. We have a whole bunch of troops still back here. Whole other brigade here. And some more cavalry, so we have plenty of troops back here. We're still just using basically our frontline troops. Alright, so this square is still getting hit. They were 39, now they've lost 57 men. So we're going to have to back this formation up even more. These guys are still okay. Do another supply wagon run. So some cavalry moving forward again, but like I said, I don't think they're as much of a threat as they once were. So Marcogne's division has really fallen back here. They're about halfway now between our lines and their lines, so they have happily withdrawn here. Papillotta looks still quiet to me. So yeah, most of this has really started to settle down. You can see that what's left of DeRuda's division is basically pulled back away from Papillotta. We still have this one square here keeping Jacquinot's division tied up from getting involved. And yeah, a lot of carnage in the center of the line here between La Haye Sainte and Hougoumont. And yeah, so these guys aren't getting hit as bad as they were, at least not as quickly. But I think we still need to pull them back some. They could have taken some of those casualties as they were moving back. We'll have to see if they continue to get hit. If they do, I'll pull them back. So okay, all is really quiet at Hougoumont here. So we have 184,631 points. We've inflicted about 11,000 casualties, taken about 2,700 casualties. So we're still doing excellent here. We're nearly 100,000 points above what we need. A very comfortable lead. So yeah, I'm just checking on these guys. If I see them start to take more than the losses they've taken, I'll pull them back again. Because I didn't see how many losses they took on the way back. So that was a 6-gun battery I deployed there, and there's only 2 guns there, so where the hell did they all go? It looks like a lot of them probably fell back. They're probably out of ammo, so we're going to have to take the supply wagon here and start making the rounds to resupply these guns. And then, yeah, looks like they've all fallen back here, down here. Yeah, I see them all. Okay, so we're going to have to resupply them, and then once we do that, we can bring them all back up and let them fire away at whatever's left out there. So you can see all these units have basically fallen back. We've got units in La Haye Sainte, a couple of battalions out here, a couple of battalions on this side. All of Donzelot's division has basically disappeared. And then elements of Marcogne's division are still sitting out there. And okay, it seems like these guys aren't getting hit anymore. They're still steady. They're holding steady at 57 losses. These guys are holding steady at 7 losses. So this appears to be good spots for them to be sitting in right now. So I'm gonna hit the bathroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, fellas, I'm back here. And looks like I'm making my supply wagon runs here to resupply these guns so I can bring them back up to the front. Because we only have 2 guns in place out of a 6-gun battery up there. And we also have a couple of guns back here that need to be resupplied. And as soon as I run the supply wagon by them, we should be able to pull them back up to the lines. So the French cavalry has really been thinned out there. There's only a couple of squadrons left out there. And you can tell we're intercepting courier messages now from the French. That's always a good sign. So yeah, again, looks like our squares are in pretty good shape at this point as far as where they're positioned. They don't appear to be taking losses anymore. So safely behind the ridge. So it really looks like we're shooting up that far left squadron of cavalry over there that I just panned away from. It definitely looks like I can see some cavalrymen lying on the ground over there. I think that should be the last. Oh, we got another gun falling off the line. We're down to 1 battery there. So my do these guys run out of ammo quickly. Oh, okay, they're resupplied. So, okay, we'll resupply these 3 guns over here, then we'll head up to that gun, and then we'll hopefully be able to get all 6 guns back on the line. All right, come on, boys. And here they come. Get your battery back into position. And I'm bringing us, once I get them back, I'll keep a dedicated supply wagon over there for them. So it looks like I'm withdrawing the cavalry. Not sure why I'm doing that. My only guess would be I probably think that's a good spot for another artillery battery. So pull the cavalry back and place a battery there. So okay, our units on the wall now, the cavalry's having much more of a problem coming forward and running them off now because they just probably don't have it in them to charge at the wall anymore. So they are instead pulling back. So yeah, I definitely think I'm inflicting some casualties on that far left squadron over there on the French the extreme left there. Well, yep, we got a little horse battery here, I think. And we'll bring them up and put them on the road too. Bring a little supply wagon over for them. So, okay, finally we've got all these guns resupplied, and we've got our full 6-gun battery up on the line here. So it looks like we have a battery commander out here somehow. I don't know how the hell he got out there. We've got a 6-gun battery. We'll set them up over here. Okay. Alright, I see them all moving. I don't know how the heck they got all separated. You know, with all that craziness going on defending against the French cavalry, I certainly was not paying attention to my artillery. So I assume a lot of it fell off the line after running out of ammo. But we're starting to get that in order now. We can bring this, all these guns back up. Look how many guns fell off the line, my God. So I believe I've resupplied all these guns at this point. We can bring them back up on the line. Oh, these guns falling off the line again. Look at this. All these guns are out of ammo, so I've got a supply wagon right nearby here, so we'll just have to resupply them and bring them up yet again. These guys are good. It's like trying to chase your kids around a shopping center. And they're continuing to fall back. So we'll just have to chase them with the supply wagon until we can get them resupplied and then bring them back up. I think that's kind of the last of our guns, though. That's I think we've finally gotten everything else in order here. So they still have a lot of cavalry they have massed in the center here, but they're not really making use of it. Maybe they're saving them for a later attack. Oh, we got ran off the wall again. But that cavalry will have to turn right around because there's a square in front of them. I really should just give up on that part, holding that part of the wall. It's not necessary anymore. There's no more infantry out there. Okay, so finally those 2 guns have stopped. Let's hit them with the supply wagon. And you guys can unlimber. I don't know why you're just sitting there. You've got plenty of ammo. Alright, so all our guns are back up on the line. That's good. You guys are a little crooked. I'm gonna place you someplace where you look a little more purposeful. How you boys doing? And they're back up to it. All you got to do is pull exhausted units off the line and give them a little while, and they're back to full strength. So yeah, okay. All our batteries are fully formed again, and we have all our guns on the line. So it took a little corralling to get them all back, but they appear to all be where they belong. Here comes the oh well, this one needs to be resupplied. So one lagger, but all these other guns seem to be fully staffed once again. So 193,000 points, closing in on 200,000 points. And it is only a little after 4. We still have a lot of time to keep earning points. And we're going to put these guys up on the wall yet again. I don't think it's necessary anymore. I really don't. But I really seem obsessed with holding on to this wall. Look at the squadron out here. Look at all the dead. Like, we're really putting a pounding on this squadron. I can see lots of dead cavalrymen there. I wouldn't be surprised if they routed soon. How you boys doing? Still 7 losses. Oh, they're taking a few more. They were at 57, so they're still good. We may need to pull the square back a little bit more. I'm not going to overreact yet, I don't think, but, you know, if that artillery can still see them. Alright, here comes this gun. Hopefully we can resupply them. Why are they not resupplying? They're right by the supply wagon. I just don't get it. Okay, there they go. Okay, goody. Head over and resupply this battery. And all seems still quiet at Papillote here. You can see Deruta's division has really backed off. They appear to be not showing any interest in engaging. Might as well take the opportunity to resupply these skirmisher units. I'm sure they're a little low. These guys have 15 rounds. They did great, though. They inflicted 130 casualties and only took 8. These boys are all fine. So, look, French artillery is not really pressing this area too hard. I'm not really taking losses over here, so there's no reason to move these guys. Now that I have all my guns back on the line, I just want to make sure they stay there. I've got this one supply wagon here for all these batteries, though. Alright, we'll run through these guys. Alright, so we got three guns right here out of ammo from that little four gun battery I tried to move up. So let's see if we can just resupply them and then bring all those guns back on the line. Alright, they're resupplied and they're resupplied. Okay, let's form line, bring these guns back up. And we'll bring the supply wagon with them. And that should be all my guns now resupplied and ready to rock. So a little bit of a mess with the artillery, but I think we've got it all cleaned up. It looks like we'll put these guys back on the wall again. And as soon as I do, the cavalry starts moving in again. I don't think this wall is worth holding on to at this point. I also don't think there's really reason to hold on to it. So, alright, these guys are still not getting hit that hard now. The occasional round is catching them, but nothing serious. And the French attack has just completely ground to a halt. Just, they're doing nothing out there. The cavalry's just sitting out there. All their infantry is pulled back to La Haye Sainte, well, the area as the area around it. They do have a lot of cavalry massed in the center, but they're not doing anything with it. So I don't know what their next move is. However, I still haven't done anything on my extreme left. I still have no idea at this point whether Grouchy is going to show up or not. So I should start turning my attention fairly soon to shifting some of my forces to face eastwards on my extreme left, just in case Grouchy shows up. I may not do that in this video. I might do it at the very beginning of the next video. So 57,000 points just from the Allied right, or 58,000 points. So these objectives can really generate a huge amount of points. And as I said, little by little, we're driving the cavalry away. There's one squadron routing. And okay, my guns are moving up. Looks like they're unlimbering, and we have a little 4-gun horse battery right there. So we've got a lot more artillery on the line now. And we're just bombing away here, waiting to see what the next move from the French are. Because we still hold all the objectives that we, the important ones anyway. We have lost La Haye Sainte. But that was part of our strategy. We basically, by withdrawing behind the ridge, we were always going to cede La Haye Sainte to the French. So that was expected, and we're still earning plenty of points from Papelotte, Hougoumont, the Allied right, and the Allied left objectives. Our guns are now that they're all resupplied, they are all going off with reckless abandon. So nearly 200,000 points, 100,000 points ahead of what we want. And I think I'm just scouting to see what troops I want to send over to the left. I'm certainly going to redeploy some of the cavalry I've got over there. I do have a lot of cavalry on the extreme left, and that would certainly be useful in slowing down any advance by Grouchy if he shows up. And we'll just keep the supply wagon runs going here while the French are being relatively quiet. And I'm sure we're just really bombing away on this cavalry out here. And they're just kind of sitting there taking it. They're not in canister range or anything, but over time, those artillery shots will add up. As you saw one unit break and run earlier. And we're putting a pounding on La Haye Sainte. And our guns are going off really quickly now that they've all been resupplied and we've put them all back on the lines. Oh, this square is taking some casualty. It's like every time I pull one target, and these guys are still getting hit too. So we're going to have to do a little bit more readjusting, bring these guys back further, bring the battery back further. I'm not really trying to contend with the French artillery with my artillery. So keeping my artillery behind the ridge like this is really meant to stop an attack if the French crest the ridge. But I'm not interested in duking it out with the French artillery itself. I'd rather just pull back behind the ridge and stay safe. So we're moving further back, and hopefully that will pull us out of sight of these French guns out here once and for all. So again, here comes some cavalry. And no, they're not coming forward. They're just coming within range to be shot at. And they're turning around. This square is taking some damage now. Looks like a few guns are pointed their direction. You can see these guns now. This gun is obviously targeting the square. So we'll have to see how much damage it inflicts. Because our artillery is not paying attention. They're shooting at the cavalry out here or something over there. So I may start to withdraw some of these positions behind the ridge. Like I said, I'm not necessarily interested in duking it out with the French artillery. Yeah, I'll be happy to pull my formations behind the ridge. You know, this whole setup was kind of you know, put together kind of lickety split anyway. You know, I never really meant to have them that far forward. That's just kind of the way it happened because I had already deployed some artillery facing, you know, kind of sticking out on the ridge to enfilade that infantry coming forward from La Haye Sainte. And that's when the cavalry charge came forward. So I kind of had to improvise this all quickly as opposed to putting it together really the way I would have wanted to had the French kind of stuck to my timetable. And I'm just setting up a whole line of cavalry back here so that, you know, if any more infantry comes forward, I'll have the cavalry everywhere to force them into square or charge them as need be. So some of these crappy Nassau troops that are sleeping through the whole battle. And just continuing our little supply wagon runs here. So yeah, all this cavalry I have out here, I'm probably going to just kind of turn them to face eastwards in case Grouchy shows up, and maybe I'll send a little bit of artillery to their support as well, because things are pretty quiet along the front here right now. Some of these batteries I could probably pull off, and it wouldn't really affect anything right now. So over 200,000 points now. A really comfortable lead. And we've inflicted nearly 12,000 casualties on the French. Somewhat less bloody than the historical Battle of Waterloo. In a way, I think a lot of these formations that I use and how devastating they are have actually saved the French some casualties, because they haven't committed to attacks against these formations kind of the way I think they would have had I been set up a little more historically. So in a way, my cheap formations here have kind of saved the French from really taking devastating losses. I mean, 12,000 men is still a lot, but out of a 70,000 man army, it could have been a lot worse. And I think most of their casualties have probably taken place in front of Hougoumont here. You can see there's just French bodies everywhere. Yeah, so this cavalry is just kind of sitting out here now, and it's, occasionally picking its spots as far as trying to run our skirmishers off the wall, but they can't do much else with the square sitting here. And they can't charge a fort anyway, and there's no infantry out here to help them, so they're really just kind of stuck out here on their own in not a great spot. And once again, our men on the wall are shooting at them. And we have a square here picking off some more French cavalry, and little by little, their squadrons should eventually all break and run. There's only about 4 of them out there right now. It's a lot less than what we had originally. So there's another one falling back. So okay, 79 losses, and we'll keep an eye on that and see if they're not getting hit anymore. And yeah, I'm not even messing around anymore. I'm just pulling this. All right, you guys, enough with the wall. All right, so we have, there we go, guys. We have 203,000 points. It is 16:30 now, so 4:30 p.m. And that will do it for part 3. And in part 4, we'll take a look at 1630 to 1830. So we're progressing right along here. We have a nice 100,000 point lead. So at this point now, we have basically cleared out all the forces in front of Hougoumont except for a little bit of cavalry. Papelotte has become quiet as de Ruyter's division is pulled away from it. D'Erlon's attack has basically been completely broken up, and we have repulsed the majority of the French cavalry charge. So we're doing pretty good here, guys, and stay tuned, and in a couple of days I'll have part 4 up. Take it easy, fellas.